Everybody ready?
Yep. Let's go.
Lothra, Lothcat, Lothwolf, run. Pick a path, and all is done.
For Midwest Guys presents
I'm ready for that.
Star Wars Rebels HQ.
Continue to allow this war to be fought on the Empire's terms. You are going to lose.
All paths are coming together now.
As long as we're together, we've got a chance.
At least we'll go down fighting. It's time to get to work.
Your TIE Defender is at risk. Krennic has been quite persuasive about his own project, Stardust.
Ezra, it's not whether or not we fight.
It's how we choose to fight that matters. I know, Kanan.
We were meant to be Jedi so we could be here now when Lothal needs us most.
All the paths are coming together, right?
I'm just not sure if we're going to like where they lead.
But we never imagined it would end like this.
Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Forward Midwest Guys Presents Star Wars Rebels HQ. Today we'll be reviewing Season 4, Episodes 5 and 6, The Occupation/Flight of the Defender. Here to help me do that today is Mr. Brian Ankenbauer.
Hey, what's up, what's up?
What's going on, B?
Not much, man.
Not much. And my brother, Aaron. Hey, you awake today?
Little.
Think you're going to make it?
Cool. We'll see.
Copy. All right, guys. Well, we got...
Here to review Episode 5 only.
Like last week, he only shows up for the first. Then he falls asleep. No, I'm just kidding. So, yeah, we've got a lot going on here, so let's go right into The Occupation. Episode starts off with Ezra kind of having a dream on board the Ghost and just kind of waking up Starling going, Joe, and he yells out Joe, and he basically says, we need to return to Lothal. Joe and Ryder are suffering. Seems like, to me, Ezra only has these dreams when people die, where something dramatic happens. The last time we had this is when his parents were killed, I guess, or he sensed it.
Yeah, but, like, funny thing is, like, going into later episode and even the next one, Ryder doesn't seem any worse for the wear than usual.
No, he doesn't.
I mean Joe's probably dead by the time he has this dream.
Yeah, Joe is, they say he was caught and executed, so... but that seems to be what triggers it, like the emotional response, or like he feels them passing. You know,
and there's that certain delay, like it just takes a while for like that emotional energy to go through the universe and get to him.
Well, maybe, yeah.
It was as if 1,000 lives just called out at once and then nothing.
They were suddenly silenced. Yeah, totally Obi-Wan Kenobi.
Yeah.
Well, you know, if you go by the canon force, you have the living force, which feeds the cosmic force, and the cosmic force feeds the living force. If you really want to get technical and really deep and nerdy about it, but nevertheless.
Right. So there's a living force and a cosmic force.
Yes.
Do Jedi use both, or is it just one or the other usually?
One kind of goes along with the other, and the Jedi, or I should just say Force sensitives, are plugged into both.
Okay.
But,
so, like, it's not like you channel one for certain abilities over the other.
Not that I know of. Now, that could change. We're still early on into the whole Force mythos here.
Oh, okay. Yeah, because, I was now you bring that up, it makes sense why Ezra has part of the living force and not the cosmic force.
Right.
Because he can do with animals.
Yeah, he's definitely the Jedi whisperer.
All right, so does that mean one can be adept at or more sensitive to one over the other?
I don't think so. It's all one force. It's like a balance.
Now it's one force? I thought it was two forces.
No, well, it's one giant force altogether.
Oh.
It's just there's two parts to it.
Oh, the yin and the yang.
Kind of. Kind of, sort of. But it's like, you have the cosmic force, which takes care of like the entire galaxy.
Yeah.
You know, the bigger picture.
Okay.
And then you have the living force, which is the individuals.
Okay. I kind of get what you're coming from, because like in during the New 52 run, they had like a Swamp Thing, Animal Man thing, where you had the red and the green that were like different like life energy sort of things.
It's kind of that way. It's like really, if you go back to Empire Strikes Back, you got Yoda going, luminous beings are we, you know, not this crude matter. You know, that's the living force, and then there's the cosmic force, which is kind of like the greater force, the everything else. It's
all right. Quick question, and not to drag this on too much. Is that why Jedi Masters that are on the like more light sensitive actually can do the Force Ghost thing where Siths can't?
Correct. Yes.
Okay.
Because the Sith they don't believe in an afterlife to begin with. Really, the Jedi don't really quite get it either. Only a few do. But for the Sith, it's all about the here and the now, and it's about your passions and your driving for power now. Once you're dead, they believe that that's it, that it's the abyss. Where at least the Jedi believe you become one with the Force. You know, the cosmic Force, whatever.
Okay.
Feed back into the cosmic Force.
So not the living
on
Force.
the
Right.
Jedi Master side, you really do have like transferring their life force into a cosmic force. Is
Right. That's so when
their
you
end.
so when you die, you become part of the bigger, greater Force. And it's kind of like a big loop. So it goes through the cosmic Force, and the cosmic Force then refeeds into the living Force. And
Okay. So
back
it's a
in-
cycle.
Big giant
So the
circle of
the living
life.
force is like your local cell phone towers, and the cosmic force is like the satellite dishes in the atmosphere.
Sure.
I'm not sure I pick up on the analogy for it, but
Just trying to figure out how local we are with how localized with the life force.
Well, just think like the living Force is the. So Obi-Wan Kenobi says that the Force is when he's teaching Luke, he's like, you know, it's a force that binds all living things together, right?
Okay.
So that's kind of like the cosmic Force kind of binds everything together, and then the living Force is everything that springs out life from it. You know, Does that make sense?
No.
Okay.
I'm just going to go with it's just the force. There's just one force.
Okay, that's fine.
I actually like it being more technical and like having nuances to it. I think that's kind of cool.
And they're still adding to it. I think Last Jedi is going to go kind of deep into it, so
I wouldn't doubt it.
we could get a lot more.
Oh, that's cool,
about
man.
it.
Like I like mythology. Like that's
Yeah.
awesome.
So, but yeah, so there's a little 101 and maybe kind of sort of ever so slightly on the difference between the cosmic and living force. And I'm sure people will write in and yell at us later for incorrectly saying a few things here. and
That's
there.
fine. You can do a small Star Wars update, like correcting
Yeah,
whatever.
we'll
inaccuracies.
publish a what do they call it, a rebuttal? No, whatever the news does, you know. Or what there's retract. Yes, we'll do a retract.
Here are the things we got wrong about the difference between cosmic and life force.
We kind of need like a stat boy at the end of our shows to kind of
Yeah.
how'd we do?
Brian, you said that living force is.
On the last episode, you said this, and this, and apparently that was all bullshit.
Yeah, you're completely wrong, and yeah. So, but anyway,
Hey, since we're off topic, real fast before we get into this,
yeah,
I want to just bring up to Aaron that we were watching Star Trek Discovery, and you'll never guess what kind of animal was on the latest episode of Star Trek Discovery.
Is a squale.
Fuck yeah, it was a squale.
There's a fucking squale? Yes!
Because it's not called a squale, but it was like, it's like, that's not a whatever it is. It's basically just a space whale. And I was like, oh my god!
Yes.
and it had tentacles too,
Yeah.
like a squid.
I mean, I'm not against
It's like somebody who
tentacles.
watched the Rebels episode and went, "We're gonna put that in Star Trek."
Or they listen to our podcast and they're like, we have to put squares in Star Trek.
Yeah,
Oh, now I have to watch Star Trek Discovery.
Oh man. I
Yeah.
just thought I'd
That
pass
is now on the list of
Yeah.
shit I need to do.
I just
It
thought
is.
I'd pass it along.
the squales are multiplying. They've now jumped genre.
Yeah.
So that's how popular they've become. So
It's going to be like in the new like sci-fi thing.
yeah, it's
Like,
going to be the new
keep
thing.
going.
Yeah,
Just
absolutely.
squales everywhere.
Squales everywhere.
Well,
Everywhere's
that
fucking squales.
Sci-fi's working on a squale NATO.
Squale.
Nice.
Save
They
the
came from
squales.
space.
And we'll have the green piece. It'll be save the squales.
Mm-hmm.
Collect the entire set. No, anyway, I'm kidding. All right, moving on.
Okay.
Before I piss everybody off. So we were talking about, so Ezra seems to have these premonitions usually when people die. Just kind of my
No,
observation.
it does seem like that. It's
Yeah.
just the timeline's a little off.
But and to be fair though, Anakin does the same thing with his mom, right? He senses his mother in great distress. By the time he gets there, she dies in his arms. So it's kind of almost
Yeah, I mean, that one's
same-
it's a little closer.
right.
Whereas it seems like there's like a week delay here, or at least a day or two.
Yeah. Ezra gets the reverb and
Well, it could be that way too because they're not his mom and dad, right? These are just people he cares about, but they're not
Yeah.
family, so to speak. But
Gotcha.
the emotional level is just maybe quite not the same. Obviously, this leads to Ezra still not being upset. He's still upset about not returning the Lothal. Kind of brings that up. But luckily, as fate would have it, or as the Force would have it, when they return to Base 1 there on Yavin 4, Mon Mothma basically says, we got this message from Ryder, there's a new TIE Defender, and we really need recon on this, on this new kind of version. And obviously Ezra well, yeah, when do I leave? And that's when Hera speaks up. Well, we're all going. Does the whole family thing, which I thought was kind of cool.
Oh yeah, it was,
because that's more Hera. Because Hera's been kind of out of character lately. I think she's been all about the rebellion and pushing the rebellion and the rebellion.
And it's
rebellion,
now seemed to going back to focusing on like that squad in particular rather than the greater rebellion.
Yeah, and I don't know about you guys, but I like that a lot better, don't you, Brian? I like
100%
her.
better.
Yeah,
we've already worked through the Greater Rebellion, because that's where we came into the whole Star Wars saga.
Right.
Or majority of us came into that spot. So I like Aaron when he likes specifics. I like that we're into the specific with the Phoenix Squadron. We're with this group more so than the greater good. It's all fine and dandy when you see the little Easter eggs and you're like, oh, I know that spot or whatever.
Right.
But I'm not following that part right now. I'm following this story
group
with the ghost and everybody.
Right. Yeah, it's definitely more her character, the motherly Hera. She's looking after her family, and that's when I think I like her best at that point.
When it's really kind of focusing on like the family dynamics of the group and all that sort of thing.
Yeah, that's when she shines the best, I think. Rather than being,
I think a lot of the characters actually do really well in that scenario.
Yeah, they do. It really it brings out the best in each one of them. Because as a group, they're better than they are individually, in my opinion. But anyway, so do you guys think maybe Mon Mothma was throwing Ezra a bone here? I mean, because she's kind of going out of her way here. She gets this message, and it seems like it's a good excuse almost. I mean, they don't really need to know.
The thing I found kind of odd about it is not only is he like, I've thought about this, and that's just what I'm going to do from now on. I'm just going to be on Lothal. That's kind of his response, and everyone's like, okay, that sounds good. But it seems like a weird plot twist for the story overall, because it really is kind of convenient to focus on just going back to the main narrative for him.
Okay.
You were almost thinking this was going to be something you would have to choose between, and pretty much the rebellion was just like, no, just go ahead, you're good. Don't worry about it.
All right, so Brian, what's your take? You don't think it was her
I don't think it's her throwing a bone. I think it's her knowing that they know Lothal. So it'd be easier for them to get recon. I think it's just her using her pieces that she knows she has.
Being political.
I mean, yeah, but do I think it does fit the story well?
Right.
Ezra wanted to go back. Here's an opportunity.
Right.
But there was an opportunity there. I don't. If
he hadn't.
I mean, it's really stupid to say this because it's a cartoon. But if that defender wasn't there, I don't think she would have found a reason for him to send him back to Lothal.
Anyway.
Yeah.
Okay. So purely political.
Yep.
Could be either one. So the other big thing to take away from the scene is Ezra says, I've thought about this and I'm staying on Lothal. So he's basically saying, I'm not coming back to the bigger rebellion.
Yeah.
I'm going to stay on Lothal until I free Lothal, essentially.
Yeah.
Is what he's saying, which is kind of a big deal. That's a huge deal, really.
I was actually really surprised they threw that out there as early on as they did.
Well, I'm not very surprised because of our theory that we have about Ezra being in Episode 8.
Right.
And I think that's why they threw it out when they threw it out there, because Episode 8's coming up.
And he has to disappear for 3 movies.
Yeah. So and that's what they're going to say. 4. He's been on Lothal this whole time and
hiding out.
Why do you think he's going to pop up in Episode 8?
Because it's what's his name?
There's
Del Toro?
Yeah, Del Toro. So Ezra,
Benicio Del Toro.
Okay.
And for our listeners too, if there's how Ezra has those 2 scratches on his face he got from the lightsaber duel with the Grand Inquisitor. Well, Del Toro has almost identical matches on his cheek.
Yeah.
Either that or somebody's having a lot of fun with Photoshop.
Yeah.
But he looks kind of like Ezra would, older, like an older Ezra. His hairstyle, his look, he's got a gun, kind of like Ezra's. So a lot of people are theorizing that Del Toro's character, which all we know is they're calling him DJ, so we're not sure what that stands for.
Okay.
Could be Dark Jedi, could be something else we don't know yet.
It's been kind of hush hush, like under wraps.
Yeah, but Del Toro's a decent actor to cast for a role, so
right. That's why they're like, well, why is he being held under wraps of what he is?
Right.
And our thought is because it's Ezra, because we know Hera survives, and we know Chopper survives.
Yep.
But we don't know anything about anybody else. And then when in Del Toro's character, it's somebody we know is what they said right in the very beginning. Well, it's somebody we know from Star Wars, but we're not that familiar with. And when they said that, it was year and a half ago.
Yeah, I think they even went as far as to say that DJ isn't his real name. It's for something else. It means something else.
Oh, okay.
So trying to put the two together is kind of hard. Now, I've got a theory I'll throw out there at the end.
Well, do you know what I'm thinking?
Dune.
Yeah.
Dune
Junior.
Or Dune Jarrus.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, because you got Kanan Jarrus.
Yeah,
So
it could
if you
be.
put
So
that-
anyway,
But anyway.
that's what I think. I think that's why that's why they're saying Ezra's going to, and they're saying it now to get everybody used to the fact he's going to stay on Lothal, because in Episode 8 when it comes out, Rebels will still be going on.
Right. So
this way that it fits that storyline.
like you'll get the connection with seeing Del Toro as Ezra older, and then you'll see how it actually happens once we, because we'll have those last few episodes to go through Rebels.
Okay.
So, but that's just a theory. I mean,
All
we
right,
could
that's
be completely off base. We could be as far off as Pluto from this thing. But it is what it is. Okay, so moving on. So next scene, they make a deal with it's the return of Vizago. This show is all about bringing characters back from past seasons, and Vizago is right out of season 1.
Yeah. Well, the funny thing is they even mentioned Hondo in reference to
Yes,
Vizago.
yes, he does.
How do you know he has a legitimate business? Oh, Hondo told me.
Hondo told me. Ezra, which I thought was hilarious, which is a great way to bring Hondo back into. Yeah. He's still a favorite character of mine. Hondo is. But yeah, so we haven't seen him. He's the original scoundrel in Rebels. He's kind of the Lando Calrissian before they brought Lando in.
Yeah.
And which is funny.
I actually think I liked Hondo more than Lando Calrissian.
I do like Lando. I still like Lando a little bit more because I'm a classic guy.
Yeah.
But Hondo's right. He's pretty damn close.
I don't know. I just feel like Hondo's a bit more like a witty character. Like I just find him more amusing.
I think all the way down to his voice, it's just, hello, it's me, it is Hondo. It's just that whole whatever.
You sounded like a lamb.
I know I did, right?
Watch out, it's this.
What better way to make your grand entrance on the streets of Acropolis? All right, before I go into my whole shtick. And also, like Lando, though, they offer Vizago for his help puffer pigs, which goes all the way back to the Lando episode. Now, Lando used one puffer pig to create his whole business, and I think it was for mining. So they could smell some sort of mineral.
I completely forgot that the puffer pig was a thing.
Yeah.
And I was just watching this. I was just like, oh, that's kind of cute.
Yeah. But they had the one puffer pig. Now he has like 6 or 7.
Yeah,
and that's why Vizago goes, Lando made a fortune off of these.
Yeah,
now he has a ton of them. The other big thing in this scene, which was interesting, Hera relinquishing command of the Ghost to Rex and Callus, which was kind of odd in a way.
I thought the dialogue of them back and forth about who was in charge of the ship
was
funny,
hilarious. That was hilarious. But I thought this was a huge step for Hera on kind of bringing Hera back to the Hera that we like, the Hera that looks out for her family first, because the Ghost is her greatest possession.
Yeah, but I don't know. I don't know if I would classify that as being something different, because she's gone away from the Ghost before and let somebody else pilot it.
She has, but this
does seem like a more long-term sort of thing. They made a point of it.
Yeah, to me, they went out of their way to make a point out of it, and I don't think they just did it for the jokes about the Star Destroyer with Callus.
I think they did.
Oh, really?
Yeah, because I think it was they wanted to fit that in there, and he's like, well, I've commanded a Star Destroyer, and then Rex is like, "Well, there's your point.
There's your point. You just made it." Yeah. Which was hilarious.
You needed that whole.
Well, then they also had the bit with Rex and Zeb right before that.
About it, your face. My face scares the puffer pigs. Well, at least yours is unique.
Yeah. What is that, clone humor?
That was hilarious. That was good too. Some good Star Wars humor in this episode.
Lines in it.
Yeah. But yeah, to me, it was I just thought it was their point. They were kind of pointing out that she's sacrificing for her family.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, the whole back and forth with Callisto was really good. I like how Chopper makes fun of their new disguises. Like they're all in disguise, which makes sense because they're all want it, and they're all like the Empire's
has the nice
#1 list
fancy hat.
Yeah, Zeb's in the big goofy hat. Ezra's in a weird looking hat.
Yeah, he actually looks more practical for a desert planet, though.
Kind of, yeah. Like he's been out in the
like it's like a sunshade sort of thing.
Yeah,
like it kind of makes sense. Whereas Zeb's just like this big poofy or like pointy thing. Like it's like a goldfish that's eating his head.
I thought they were all good disguises except for Sabine. Sabine's wasn't much of a stretch.
Yeah.
It was like, okay. So everybody else is in great disguise. Sabine, dye your hair. Okay. And that's basically all she did. For the most part. She put on some different clothing too, but it looked exactly like her
well, I like the
Mando.
comeback when Chopper was making fun of him and they said, well, we could give you a new paint job.
Yeah, you want a new paint job?
And he was like, kind of shit. He's wrong.
He didn't like the yellow and black, so
Yeah.
from last episode. So they finally make their way to Lothal, and this is right out of the trailer. Another scene right out of the trailer, and Ezra can't believe how much Lothal has changed. It's gone from the green, lush,
Earth-like.
blue, earth-like, and it looks like it's on fire and
Yeah,
smoke.
from the outside it really does.
Yeah,
like just smoke and smolder.
Yeah, like they have completely ravaged the planet, or they're trying to ravage it for resources or whatever.
Which doesn't make much sense, because before it was just grasses.
Yeah.
And so that doesn't make sense, unless they're using the grass for something, but they never say what they're using it for,
No.
because then it's all rock and dirt now.
Yeah, I think
they never really go into what they're actually doing on the planet that's transforming it to the extent it is. I mean, that might be a thing they get to later on.
Yeah. I'm beginning to think that maybe there's kyber crystals or something underneath the soil, deep down in because of you got the Jedi temple and everything else that was there. So obviously the Jedi found it valuable for whatever reason. So and honestly, even though Yoda kind of gave it to him, he did get his kyber crystal there too. And so we'll see what happens. So the other big thing, new level of Empire security. So they scan the ship and they scan the rebels as unregistered life forms. That's a new tactic that we haven't seen though.
They scanned life forms on the ship.
Yeah, that they actually before
was
it's
that
always
just picking up heat signatures essentially.
Well, it was like they were like, well, that's not registered in our database. We're picking up something weird, whether that's Zeb or somebody else.
I think it was just that his code only was him plus cargo. And they were picking up multiple life forms, non-registered. I don't know if it was per se like not registered, like no driver's license type of registering. I think or you know what I mean?
Right. You thought maybe it was only for one life soul or
I
one
think it was
soul on board.
Yeah, it was like one life form plus cargo. That's what the code was good for. That's the way I took it.
It could be. I took it more as they were actually that his license was good for this kind of life form, this kind of life form, this kind of life form, and these guys aren't matching. Like it was that
either
technical.
that or actually has a database of the crew and is like,
right.
that has exceeded that database.
Exactly, so it needs to be searched. Which, when they said Lothal's on total lockdown, it really is too, because it's not your standard blockade. I mean, you notice the building station, the other thing was the building stations in orbit. Remember how we saw that in the teaser trailer?
Right.
If you looked in the background, those were in orbit around Lothal. So they're obviously building something. Now, whether that's for the Death Star or it's part of
building pieces of it,
or maybe it could be that, or maybe it's also the Defender. I don't know. But there's something going on there, something greater. It's like they're pulling the resources off the planet and building something in space. Not sure. So there's
maybe that's how they do it. Maybe that's how they just build parts of it wherever close to whatever planet. And then they move the pieces to that middle of nowhere to assemble.
To assemble, which doesn't, if that is the case, Brian, that would not be a good thing for the people of Lothal, because they basically wiped out the Geonosians for the same thing. So, so we'll have to see what happens there. They got a TIE fighter escort. They escort him down.
That's standard.
Standard? No, apparently not.
That's what he says.
It's standard.
Yeah, it's standard.
I mean, most of the time.
So you get that.
How many times happened to you? No.
And as soon as he lands, they've got one of those gravity generators on it, a lock basically for a ship, so it can't go anywhere. I mean, it's crazy how much greater military tactics are now employed than the last time.
And obviously that obviously means that there's something big going on.
Something's going on.
Because they wouldn't do that for just...
For rebels.
Yeah, they wouldn't do that for just rebels and just say that, we know Ezra's from here or whatever. They wouldn't do that just for that.
Well, right. That, but you also have the militarization of the domestic towns and such. You have the one bar that became more or less a Empire bar.
Empire Cantina.
Yeah. And then you have all the propaganda going out throughout the town and just how it's actually recruiting the people to go into like the Empire and be stormtroopers or whatever.
And that's a great transition because that was my next point. Was as soon as we get back to Lothal, there's that big scene where they're like, loyalty is obedience.
Yeah, it's going heavy on the propaganda.
Yeah, troopers are checking ID for people just walking out past curfew. It really is a full lockdown.
Why did they check their curfew, but when they walked into the bar, they didn't check Ezra's and
maybe
they were off duty?
You know what I mean?
Like it's just off duty.
We're on break.
It was just weird. Like it was like,
yeah,
if curfew is this time and two people just walked into your bar after curfew,
or why are they still open unless they're supposed to be only serving the Empire? Maybe, but still, you're right. It's a good point, Brian. It's kind of a little hole in the storyline.
I feel like it works for the same reason that pretty much anyone that's on a break's like, no, I don't give a shit.
Yeah, I'm not.
I will deal with that in like 10, 15 minutes when I get back.
But yeah, they do end up in Old Joe's place, or now Baron's place, or the Empire's place, whatever. And Old Joe's bar is now the Empire Bar.
Where everybody knows your number. TK427. Another shot of tequila? Yes, it is.
Why aren't you at your post, TK427?
Why aren't you on your stool? Because I fell on the floor.
But yeah, now it is now run by yet another old character we've seen in the past. It is Baron Valen Reuter. We've had a lot of run-ins with the Rebels. The last time I think we saw him was on the Empire Day episode, which I believe is season 1 or 2.
I gotta be honest, I completely forgot this character existed.
Yeah, I kind of did too. I really had to look at him hard, and then I had to do a little research.
After watching that episode, I don't remember the other episodes he's in.
But he's basically was the guy that was. They had that first advanced TIE fighter that looked halfway like Darth Vader's. That had the
bent sides.
The bent insides. He was the pilot. He was supposed to be like the test pilot for it.
That sounds familiar.
Yeah. So they brought him back, and now, and like other defeated, like other Imperials that these rebels have defeated, every time they run into him, they get demoted.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so he's gotten demoted to a bartender.
Yeah, you're a bartender. You're running the bar now.
I mean, that could be cool. I mean, at least you got plenty of alcohol nearby.
It's something, but he's still proud of himself because he's showing pictures of himself as a TIE fighter pilot.
Yeah, he still seems pretty egotistical.
Yeah, I mean, for all it's worth. I mean, but you really though, you go from being a chief test pilot, bartender. So it's,
I mean, it could be a really well-paying bar job.
It could be, but still. But I just find it funny how that's a repeating theme that they throw in there. Like every time they run into another Imperial character from the past that they defeated, they seem to get lower. The Empire.
So like next one's just gonna be like janitor / mascot at children's theme park.
Right. At
Come on, put the Darth Vader mask back on,
or have him run.
Go
around,
entertain the children.
Run around in Uncle Palpatine's cloaks. And, yeah.
Come on, hand out those like water balloons.
Yeah. We find out nice. We find out that he's been that Old Joe has been captured by the ISB, which is like their was captured and executed.
Yeah.
Which takes Ezra by surprise.
Which I thought was really. I tell you what, man, these kids' cartoons and killing off people is just.
Yeah, they take a lot of liberties
off screen, so I mean it's not that bad.
Yeah, no, but even if you think about when we were kids watching cartoons and stuff, it was always bad guy put in jail. Always saw bad guy put in jail.
Yeah,
dude, man.
Even the mastermind criminals, we saw them put in jail.
There was a lot of indie cartoons that had a lot of like dark deaths. And
there was when we were kids, Aaron. It was the rules were nobody got killed. You never saw blood, and nobody ever got eaten. And if they did, somehow they got free from being eaten.
Didn't Watership Down come out like in like 82 or some shit?
You're talking about anime and stuff, man.
Watership Down was like a film made in England.
Yeah, but that's
England.
It wasn't a cartoon.
We grew up with Transformers, G.I. Joe,
Teenage Mutant Turtles.
Yeah, Mask, all that kind of stuff.
I was saying like there was some dark stuff back in the day.
I mean, we thought it was a big deal when they brought out the G.I. Joe cartoon movie and Duke died.
Yeah.
That was huge.
Okay.
And they killed Optimus Prime in the Transformer movie. That was huge.
Yeah.
People cried. I squirted a tear too.
It's pretty funny as I still have the G.I. Joe movie at home. I saw it the other day.
Do you really?
Yeah. That's on VHS.
Taking it back to old school.
The 80s had like plenty of like dark stuff. Like
Sure,
but it wasn't readily available to everybody.
Okay.
Right.
It wasn't put out there unless you were like some geek that ordered it from Japan
I mean,
on the interwebs.
I wasn't there at the
Or
time, but I
mail
probably
order.
would have been
Yeah.
in that category.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
that's how it was. Those were kind of the rules.
Yeah.
No blood, nobody got eaten, and nobody died. That
I
was-
mean, vampire films must have sucked.
well, they were just cartoon vampires. You never saw them attack, like trying to suck people's blood.
Yeah.
Or
I mean, think about what we did back in the day. In order to watch like TV shows and stuff, we would record them on a VHS with commercials.
yeah,
And like, and in order to, in order to make sure that nobody could tape over it, you broke off the two little nubs on the ends of the VHS tape so that
it couldn't record.
It couldn't record.
Right.
Or if you wanted to record on something like that, then you just put tape over them.
Yeah.
It was just crazy times.
You just learned how to do it.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the way it was, man.
Like one of the first movies I think I ever saw on VHS was like Indiana Jones.
First one I ever saw was Star Wars, and it was after my uncle had taped it, and it was after the.
It was on TV.
It was on HBO, and they were watching his parents. He'd over taped an old episode of the Paul Dixon Show. I shit you not. So I had to watch the Paul Dixon Show and him marrying two rubber chickens before I got to watch Star Wars. I was fast forwarding.
I mean, how did the marriage ceremony go?
He married two chickens. It was great. It was hilarious.
Like, did it bring tears to your eyes?
No,
Mel Chicken didn't go through with it. He bonked.
But anybody outside the Cincinnati area is probably not going to know who Paul Dixon is anyway. So
I don't even know who Paul Dixon is.
I'll explain later. So now that we've gone down memory lane real quick. So yeah.
It's old Joe. That's why we did it.
Yeah, old Joe. Poor Joe. Ezra and Sabine getting a little bit of trouble, obviously. You know, although Sabine kind of starts it, she's like, "Let's go." Yeah, she was real quick to pull Ezra away from the bar, like he was going to give away too much or something, which he wouldn't have. But she kind of institutes this whole thing, and all of a sudden, people are asking questions, and luckily, they're rescued by yet another old character, Jai Kell, who is now part of the Rebels.
Okay, where did he come from again?
Jai Kell was one of the other Force-sensitive students that was with Ezra in the Jedi, or not the Jedi Academy, the Stormtrooper Academy episodes.
Oh, okay.
He's the one that runs off with his mother, and they're like, "We'll find a place for you to hide."
Oh, okay.
And stuff. He's like the third member. It was him, the African American kid. I can't remember his name.
I don't remember either.
But yeah, it was those three together.
Okay.
So
cool.
Yeah, he was one of them. So yeah, he's an old friend of his. But he was, and he even, he says he was glad to return the favor when he meets him because he saved my life from the academy, etc., etc.
Yeah, I find it funny how even Ezra has to take a minute to remember the character.
For a minute, well, he doesn't recognize them. Yeah, they're all growing up. He's changed. They're changed. Everybody's kind of changing. It'll be interesting to see if they bring back
they
that.
comment on that even with Ezra, them using an old picture of Ezra as well. Yeah,
it's really it's interesting how they're bringing everything full circle with these episodes. So that it's definitely the last season. Like they're bringing in,
like they're aware it was the last season. So it's written for that context.
Right. So they're bringing back old characters and bringing things full circle a little bit with a lot of these characters. Like this really kind of brings full circle with this Jai character because now. He's part of the Rebel Alliance and he's helping out and he's reintroduced back to the.
But that is
team.
funny, Aaron. You brought up the picture because Ezra did bring up a good point. Like, why are they using my old picture?
Yeah.
Like, really, why are they using her old picture? Like, they don't have the technology to do any kind of age advancement or anything, or
well, not just that, but like they've seen him since that picture.
Yes.
Like he's got to be like on some security footage somewhere.
You would think so. But the Empire's pretty inept. Except for when they're on full lockdown, apparently. So, switching scenes, I actually switched this in the middle of all of what we talked about, but I want to keep it separate. The whole Hera and Kanan in the alley incident, obviously.
Where they interrupt the whole smoochy session.
Yeah, they go into hiding, they're both right next to each other, and they... I wish I could see you. You could always see me. Blah, blah, blah.
You could always see me.
Yeah. And then, Kanan gets cock-blocked by the mission yet again.
Well, I mean,
It's hilarious.
I'm not sure if it would have gotten that far in an alley. I mean,
well,
I don't
maybe
know.
not, but at least he might have
it is also a Disney show, so...
Well, yeah, but still.
They're going to kiss.
But you know, it's always, you know, he's always being blocked. But it's still they're
And then
showing.
he even laughed about it too.
Yeah, he's like always on the move or something.
Yeah,
like
always.
that.
On, no, it was always something. What did he say? It wasn't always on the move.
It was something like that.
It was like always something about the mission or something.
Yeah, the mission or something.
Yeah. It was so funny because he was like, as soon as it happened and he knew he got cock blocked, he was like, the mission or whatever it was.
Yeah.
It's pretty funny.
So, but yeah, it's but they're at least keeping that narrative alive. And,
Yeah,
you know,
I mean,
keeping
I don't know.
that whole thing.
I think
which
there's times they haven't focused on that narrative, but I don't think it's ever been like.
It's never been full front, but it's always been there. Now they're just making they're going out of the way to make a point about it. So, to me, I still think Kanan bites it, and I think that's the whole.
I 100% think Kanan bites it.
Yeah, because she's going to miss what they never got a chance to do.
Because that's what's going to happen in the last Kanan episode is that they're going to, but I love you or whatever. It's going to happen in the last episode,
right? And then
he's going to die.
He's going to die. Yeah, I agree.
I mean, do you think it's going to be like a graphic death? Like he just falls on a bunch of spikes?
No, I think it's going to be a battle scene where he's gotten wounds and he's going to die from his
I wouldn't be surprised if he goes up against Vader. Like they let Vader take him out. I really wouldn't be surprised at all.
Okay.
So we'll see. I'm kind of hoping it's that. He deserves a big death. So
okay. I mean,
Freddie Prinze Jr. down by Vader.
Yeah. But we'll see. I don't know. I have no idea what they got in store. So obviously they get in a little bit of trouble. They steal the speeders, and then that's the other thing. As soon as they steal those speeders, those tanks are right there, man.
Blocking
right there.
Exit,
There's no quick exit like there used to be for them. All their old tactics aren't working anymore because they're ready for them.
Yeah, they're essentially everywhere at that point.
Yeah, that's not.
Like they're already everywhere before, like
except for where Ryder is for some reason.
But Ryder might know their new tactics too and has adapted.
Yeah,
where they're using their old tactics and they know their old tactics and are ready.
Because maybe they were instructed by Thrawn, so who knows all the tactics?
Precisely. So where do they go? They turn to the sewers. God, speaking of Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles.
Yeah.
They used. They apparently were used by Old Joe to smuggle rebels in the past, and but they're quickly chased down by stormtroopers, led by another Death Trooper. So,
you've seen quite a few Death Troopers in the season.
This is weird because the last episode, which I thought might have been Phasma, was a female voice, and I still do.
Yeah, it does actually sound kind of similar.
Yeah, I really think that is Phasma.
Like, I don't know if it's supposed to be. I've never read, like, the Phasma book that came out or whatever.
I haven't yet.
I just got it.
He just got it, so he's going to have to let us know.
Okay.
Yet you have, again, there's a Death Trooper that's almost is in command and is telling everybody what to do, which is kind of interesting because I never would have put the Death Troopers there. I just would have put them there as elite stormtroopers.
But now it kind of makes sense of why we saw them so prevalent in Rogue One.
Rogue One.
Because like when we saw them in Rogue One, we're like, where the hell these guys come from?
Yeah.
And now that we're seeing them in Rebels,
right,
it kind of fits into the why they're so prominent in Rogue One.
Because
it's actually interesting. Like they actually seem to have a pretty decent role in Rebels, and like if you're actually making them almost like the leader of stormtrooper units and such, like that's kind of cool. It's just interesting you don't see that through like 4 to 6.
Well, no, because they said in Rogue One the reason all the Death Troopers were on Scarif when it blew up.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
And that's why we don't see any in 4, 5, 6. That's how they explained it anyway.
Okay.
Because that was one of our biggest things. Like, where are the Death Troopers? And they came out and said, where did we see that?
I don't remember now.
Was that an interview or something?
But they said majority of them went down when they blasted the base.
Well, yeah, but like at the same time, even if most of them did get destroyed, wouldn't you just promote more?
Well, maybe they didn't have time because they're really from that point on they're fighting a full-on war with the rebels.
Yeah.
So
that and it could be that they just don't have the right talent to don't just promote. Hell, the stormtroopers in 4, 5, and 6 can't anything.
It's possible, but
well, I mean, there's always the joke that it's just really cheap mass prevents them from seeing anything.
Right.
Well, yeah, that's kind of proven in Rebels. Rex even says when he's in disguise, how do you shoot with this thing on?
Well, they
throws the stormtrooper mask on.
Have you seen that video? I mean, not the video, but the drawing of the stormtrooper helmet and what the people have to look like underneath in order to be able to see out of those eye holes?
No, I've not
And
seen
it's like
that.
a person's face, and you can see the outline of the thing, and they had to move the eyes
Like up on the forehead.
on the forehead, way out to the side, in order for them to be able to see out of the mask.
That's hilarious.
It was pretty funny.
Yeah.
Well, we'll have to try that out. I've got a First Order Stormtrooper helmet on order.
That's nice.
So somebody I know actually makes that stuff. So I got to make it as a custom one. We'll have to find out. We'll have to try it on.
Well,
See
I mean,
what
it
looks
could also be like custom made to where it actually is a little easier to see out.
Well, yeah, Ben may take care of that for us. We'll have to see, but still, yeah. So, but yeah, again, here we go. It's a new dynamic that they're introducing only in Rebels. The Death Trooper, with all the tactical experience and all the is barking out the orders. It's different. Like I said, I never would have thought of it until recently. It's cool. They're expanding.
It's a nice change.
Yeah, it's a nice expanse on the universe, as it were. Also, we see they're using Imperial probe droids again to hunt through the tunnels.
Yeah, which makes sense.
We've
I mean,
only
if
seen
you're
that-
on that like big lockdown, like probe droids are kind of
It makes perfect military sense, that's for sure. It's just a much smarter empire than we've seen. I can't emphasize that enough because it's such a big difference.
Like you're from like an F student all the way up to like honor roll.
Yeah, it really is. It's like they graduate it and then they think like a real person now. They're not stupid anymore. Yeah, but with troopers at every
Do you
turn.
find it funny you go to one more episode and already you're back to them being stupid though? Especially when the loaf cat scene, like in
the
the
loaf
next
cat
episode.
scene. Well, I consider that the Force. That's the Force at work there.
Okay.
With the low cat scene, well, that the other thing with that is that those aren't Death Troopers either.
No, they're not. They're regular
no,
stormtroopers.
They're pretty stupid.
They're regular stormtroopers.
Yeah, they're weak-minded.
All right.
These are not the droids you're looking for.
It's basically the temp service.
But the rebels
Temp service went higher.
are so locked down and are on the run at every turn that even Ezra loses faith for a minute. He's like, we shouldn't have come back.
Yeah,
Lothal's
like he started
already
like
lost to the
getting
Empire.
anxiety attacks.
Yeah, almost, which is kind of strange and completely out of character. I didn't expect him to say that, but he just.
Well, yeah. At the same time, like he's under pressure, like he's surrounded on sides, like he's not seeing any way out.
It was just weird to see him lose faith. And he's like,
Well, that's happened before when he gets frustrated.
Yeah,
it's happened where he's done.
It's true. I guess at this point I expect him to be a little bit more mature. I guess than he is maybe.
Yeah, but we've been having his scenes where he's been talking about why aren't we
whining?
Why aren't we doing things my way?
Yeah,
channeling his inner Luke,
right?
Whining a little bit,
right?
And I think this fits right in. But I think this also helps move this part of the story along, his development, and it helps push that whole. I shouldn't lose faith, and should just keep going forward.
Right. Well, that's a good point. It was also nice to see Sabine and Zeb automatically have his back. Even Sabine's like, you always say, as long as we're together, we have a chance. And even Zeb chimes in and goes, well, at least we'll go down fighting.
Yeah.
Being the warrior, kind of backing him up. They end up using the Rebel Phoenix marker to find their way out to Ryder, which I thought was kind of cool.
It's a nice little throwback sort of thing.
It's like it's starting to catch on. It's like Sabine's artwork is now literally, starting to catch fire, like the Phoenix and symbol, and it's becoming more used. So I thought that was kind of cool. Ryder says, as soon as they finally catch up to Ryder, he's like, when are we going to plan the attack on the Defender base? Where's the rest of your strike force? And that's when Ezra goes, well, it's just us. And then almost doing a 180, Ezra automatically back in the faith. All of a sudden he goes, well, that's how rebellions start, with a few people standing up.
Yeah.
We did.
Well, I mean, that's also him talking, not completely surrounded by people trying to kill him.
And he goes, we did it before, we can do it again. But to me, I was kind of like, boy, that was quick.
Yeah.
I was like a quick turnaround. But I don't know. What do you think, Brian?
Yeah, I mean, and like Aaron said, he wasn't surrounded by troopers or anything else.
Mm-hmm.
But this also goes back to his development as a person, I guess, if you want to say that, like his development as his human nature or whatever.
Yeah.
He's gone from that doubting phase,
right,
to
leadership role.
Yeah, like I should trust my instincts more.
Mm-hmm.
I knew we should follow those, but then when he didn't see, because it was above him, when they didn't see the thing, that's when he kind of freaked out a little bit. He's like, we shouldn't have done this. I don't know what I was thinking, blah, blah, blah. And then as soon as he sees me, he goes, I was right, you know.
Right, and then he reassures himself.
Yeah.
That's a good point. And then Ryder, with kind of a grim outlook, goes, well, we'll get a look at your defender, and you tell me what you think about our chances.
Yeah.
So, you know, and that's where the first episode ends. So, yeah. So, and on to the flight of the Defender. So we have we're now at midway point here. We have fully reviewed the end of the Occupation, and now we are on to Flight of the Defender. So right off the bat, they pretty much pick up where they left off. They go to see this new Defender that's apparently out there. They go to this basically Imperial Air Base in the middle of nowhere.
Yeah, little landing strip.
Yeah.
Yeah, it almost looks like a junkyard. Just it has a area where you can land.
Which I find so funny that it looks like a landing strip.
Yeah.
But none of the vehicles land like an airplane. But it's a landing strip.
That's her point, actually. Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't think about that.
Like they all can just go up.
Yes, like you could basically just put a fence around and just land them inside of the fence. But this is a landing strip. I mean, it even goes as far as putting the lines down the middle, like an actual landing strip.
I don't know. Is it like just so
maybe
they can
that's
have
for
like
our
a car
benefit,
come in
I don't
and
know.
out, like just to pick people up? It's the bus to go around to like drop people off.
I don't know, but you know what I
Just
mean?
a little
Like
scooter trip.
when I was watching, because I was like, "Well, that's a really long. That's a really small landing strip," and I was like, "Why do they even have a landing strip?"
I guess it's just for our benefit.
Like there's even a control tower for the landing strip.
Well, the control tower I get, but because you still have to
You
control
go to
that.
spot A6, he goes to spot D9. Don't crash into each other.
Well, still, you still have to control the area, but still, the strip doesn't make any sense. You're right, but at least they do have one ship right next to each other.
Actually, no. Even the strip doesn't make sense for like commuting because they have like speeders. They're not even on the fucking ground.
Yeah. Which is funny because Ryder, like, they can't get out. There's wide open space right between the speeder and the tanks block them off, so they can't get into the wide open space.
Mm-hmm.
But Ryder gets away because he's parked on the freaking expressway or whatever that is up there, and they jump in that cruise and just go across the top of that expressway.
Yeah. Although he has a U-wing with no hyperdrive for some reason, but he has a U-wing nonetheless that doesn't need that. But yeah,
Right. I think the Empire probably took all of the hyperdrives off of all
all the ships.
That actually makes sense.
That
'cause
would
you
make
wouldn't want
sense.
people getting
Lock it down.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, makes perfect sense. I didn't think about it until just now. All right, so they're at this air base in the middle of nowhere, which is very unlike the Imperials. Usually their bases are close to the city population center.
well, I mean, it depends on what the military base is for, right? Like
Right.
for experimental stuff, they actually do seem to have kind of distance.
Well, yeah, they may want to be keeping this out of the eyes of the rebels, and that's why it's so far and remote. But it also kind of gives them cover too. But still, maybe it's just for secrecy. I don't know. But for me, I just thought it was a little out of character for the Empire.
I mean, for any normal base that's dealing with the public or actually looking for rebels or like anything that's normal protocol, yeah, you would want that closer to the population.
Mm-hmm.
But for having like an experimental like fighter, that actually makes sense. You would actually have that a little distant from everything else.
Yeah, I think it is probably purely for secrecy, in their own, or maybe Thrawn's version of secrecy, which is a little bit more, thought out or thought through, maybe. The other thing about this scene was the return of the Lothcats and Ezra being the Force Whisperer that he is. And
well, they also seem to like Zeb as well.
They do, but they're just they're all over him. I mean, it's just like
they're actually kind of cute little like creatures, like Porg level cute.
Yeah, with weird looking faces. Same
thing with the Porgs.
Yeah,
it's like a cat with an emoji face.
Yes, that's exactly what it is. Yes, very much so. It's a good analogy, Brian. And eventually, flying over is the more advanced TIE fighter or Defender, TIE Defender.
I do have a question about that.
Yeah, go ahead.
So this new TIE Defender, if we skip ahead a little bit, when Sabine's in there and she says, "Holy crap, this has a nav computer."
Yes.
Now, aren't nav computers only for hyperdrive?
Yes.
So the TIE fighters have hyperdrive.
This one does.
Okay, that's what I was getting at, because
They mentioned it's disabled on the currently, but yeah, it does have it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because I was like, wow, that is pretty big. When we've never seen them, even in 4, 5, and 6, it's always the TIE fighters come and go from a stationary
Well, the funny
point.
thing is, like, that kind of means, like, if the TIE fighter is chasing you and you go to hyperdrive, it can be like, fuck you, I'm coming after you.
Yes, that's
yeah, exactly. They can follow.
It's like, no, there's no place to
Also,
run.
the other thing, like, if we're just talking about the Defender, when Ezra's being chased and he backs off the controls, like pulls back, and the thing flies backwards from going forwards.
Top Gun scene, yeah.
That was fucking badass.
Yeah, that was badass.
Which is probably the reason why I like this episode a lot. But
yeah, actually, I think this is probably the best episode of the season.
I really feel like our animator is a Top Gun fan because of the way he hits the brakes, they fly right by. I was like,
well, he did that.
Yeah.
They did the flyby over the control tower.
Tower, yes. They buzz the tower. Yeah. You've got Scarif back, who's like the Viper.
Well, then you also have the new thing, like going right past the stormtroopers that chase the wolf cats off.
Yes,
and it just kind of knocks them down.
Yeah. It's very reminiscent, but yeah. So they also these new Defender, even Sabine goes, it could probably rival the Ghost in speed, maybe even, which is a big deal because that's a much bigger ship. Larger engines, even.
Well, not just that, but like as soon as she's into it, like in the ship and like takes off, like she's just blasting fucking that entire base away.
Oh yeah,
well,
like it's got some firepower.
So if you look at the regular TIE fighters from like episodes 4, 5, and 6, they have 2 guns.
Yes,
and the TIE Defender A, we'll call it, had 4.
Yeah, 1 on each tip. Yeah,
and this one's got 6.
Yes, has 6 guns. It has guns on the base, and then there's a gun on each tip of the wing. So yeah, you're right. There is.
No, there's nothing on the actual ship itself, like the ball.
The ball there is, yeah.
So then there's more than 6 because it actually has on all 3 wings.
It has a double tip.
Has double tipped.
Oh, I didn't see that.
So it has 6. That's why I said 6.
Oh, okay.
I didn't remember seeing anything coming from the center ball.
They do a close up. It looks like there's 2 guns on the actual.
So it has 8.
8. Yeah. So it's heavily armed, fast, has shields, and now has hyperdrive. So this thing's an ass kicker. Yeah. And it's all compacted into this little tiny TIE fighter that's incredibly maneuverable, incredibly fast. Yeah.
And unlike other TIE fighters, this one can carry 2 people at least.
Yeah, this is like,
there was definitely a double seat in it.
Well, there wasn't another seat, but yeah, you could have put another seat in there if you wanted to.
There wasn't a double seat?
No, because Sabine's bouncing around the whole time he's flying. Okay. So, but yeah. But to back up a little bit, so it's the return of Volt Scaris, who's their other Imperial ace, if you will, other than the Baron we saw in last episode.
He doesn't seem to be demoted here, though.
Huh?
He doesn't seem to be demoted.
He's not demoted because he doesn't really lose to the Rebels.
Actually, to me, he seemed demoted because he was the trainer of the entire fleet, and now he's just the test pilot.
Well, I just assumed that was like a different opportunity for him. It was like, hey, do you want to test pilot this thing that might be the most badass ship in the entire Empire?
Oh, okay.
Because to me, that seems like that's something to bring your reputation up even a little higher.
I could see that,
yeah. And Sabine says she wants more than just video because they take video and they're like, okay, let's go. And then Sabine's like, She's like, I want that flight recorder.
I mean, like, we can do a little something with the video, but if we get that flight recorder,
right, just like a woman, it's
we
never
know
enough.
Everything.
Never satisfied.
Never satisfied. Always got to go for more.
I've never had that issue with women.
Really?
Oh my God.
Oh.
Whew, you are a lucky man. All right,
You cut the grass and put away the dishes. But why didn't you go and buy groceries or put away the groceries?
I don't care what you do, just do something. Hey, anyway, yeah.
I feel like you guys have like issues in that area.
We do have major issues.
Yeah.
Okay.
Been down that path and flew away from it. All right, so yeah, she wants that. She wants it for the hard evidence. She can see what it can do, how fast it goes, the maneuvers,
give specifics,
all kinds of exact data.
Yep.
Which makes sense. Ezra agrees to go along with it, and leaves Zeb and Ryder kind of watching and kind of tactical support, maybe in a role. And then they get there and they need a diversion, and what happens? It's almost like the Ewok scene in Return of the Jedi. The cats just walk off on their own and become the diversion.
Well, the thing I found kind of interesting about that is, like, for a second, I was pretty like I know the stormtroopers have shit aim, but I really thought they were just going to gun down a cat right there.
Well,
I was like, God damn, that got dark for a Disney cartoon.
Well, at first they're just screwing with it, but then they get pissed off when they get attacked in the face. And then they
no, but like the cat's right there is like, you ever seen one of those things fly?
Guess it doesn't fly.
Yeah, I just thought they were going to like shoot it in the head.
Well, they think they tried, but the damn thing jumped.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, I think this is the Force flowing through the cats, whatever you want to call it, because obviously the cats are
Force cats.
well, obviously the cats are doing shit that they normally wouldn't do. You know,
I mean, I don't know.
not
I don't know what loaf cats normally do.
I don't see it. Okay, just comparison to a normal cat. I don't see a cat running up to something that shoots it and then continually try to attack it.
Yeah, and
you know,
well, I mean, it's clearly a wild predatory cat because it's strong enough to knock a stormtrooper down by jumping in his face with a helmet on.
Yeah.
So maybe I don't know what they eat. Like
I don't know. For me, I'm just going along that. Yeah, it's part of the Force.
Maybe stormtroopers are like canned tuna to those things. I don't know.
I doubt it, but we'll see. Yeah, so with the help of the cats, they get the diversion they need, and Sabine sneaks into the TIE fighter. Then Thrawn shows up. Who else but Thrawn shows up with Governor Price for an inspection of his new TIE fighter. And
quick question: Governor Price is a governor, correct?
Yes, she is.
How is she always hanging out with Thrawn? How is she governing and always just being a sidekick?
Well, she's the governor of Lothal, so in this case, it makes sense.
Yeah, but
why she goes off with him on special missions, I don't know. I guess they're just buddies. In the past.
No, it was just interesting because like she hangs around Thrawn a lot, but you would assume that would get in the way of her governing abilities.
I don't know. You know, governor is kind of a broad title, even though he's Grand Moff Tarkin. When Princess Leia sees him on the Death Star, she calls him Governor Tarkin. So you know,
but like he almost always interacts with other people like via hologram. So like that suggests he's busy.
Sure.
And has like
maybe that's
he doesn't have the time.
Maybe that's what she does. Maybe she's around with him all the time.
And she just governs through holograms.
Could be.
Like she just checks her emails from afar.
Because we have she ends up dying.
But, Bob, what are you doing, Bob?
Well, yeah, because even in season 1 they have that minister girl. She's like blonde and wears that weird ass hat. She ends up getting killed because the rebels try to save her, and right at the beginning of season 2, and she gets knocked off. So, but anyway, so it makes sense that she governs from afar.
Oh, fair enough.
But anyway, so Volt sees the new TIE fighter firsthand, and he says, "Well, I'll give you an evaluation after after you inspect it yourself, and then I'll do a test flight, and then I'll tell you what I think." So it's kind of interesting.
Which is very courteous, really.
And then we finally get our first look at a Lothwolf, because Ezra, while trying to figure out how to come up with a diversion, sees and gets distracted and sees this Lothwolf, a white Lothwolf off in the distance.
Yeah. And apparently not only is the fact that it's an albino thing make it rare, but apparently like later in the episode they go into like they haven't been seen for like hundreds of years.
Yeah, for at least 100 years they haven't been seen.
Right.
So like, is it just a ghost wolf? Is that what it is?
Well, yeah, because even Sabine's like, aren't these the things from you mean like on the cave drawings?
Yeah,
and stuff later in the episode? It's
just an extinct species, and like one of them's surviving on the planet as a ghost or something.
Right, which makes it that much more special, right?
Yeah.
Like it's out of place, but it's there. It's almost like we're going through like they're bringing in like forced animal spirit guides or something.
Right, but
is going on here.
We know that there's more than just one.
Well, from the trailer, that there's going to be more than one.
Yeah, we know there's more than just the one from the trailer.
Right.
And then, the one thing I thought was cool with the Lothwolf that you bring up was when they escape.
Yeah.
And how quick it was, and how easily maneuverable it was around the lights.
Yep.
Yeah.
We'll get to that.
It hasn't been seen in 100 years.
It's very agile.
Yeah. Yeah, it's true. It could be just hiding the whole time. But yeah, it's almost like a forced animal spirit guide kind of. It does cause Ezra. It warns Ezra right before he gets shot, but it does really. Ezra's so distracted, he gets caught up in the whole deal.
I don't know. Either that, or maybe you could view it as like a force-sensitive animal.
That's what I'm thinking. It's almost
because,
like it's a
you have force-sensitive aliens from our standpoint,
Well,
and really, it's a small distinction between animal and alien at this point, isn't it?
Well, to me, it's like because you're big into mythology. If you use the what's it, Native Americans,
The spirit guide thing.
They have like an animal spirit guide, except this one just happens to be physically there. You know, at least eventually it does. So I think that's kind of what Filoni's going for here. You know, he could also be going for, because Filoni really likes wolves.
Yeah.
And we talked about this, I think, in the trailer review, that he had this big discussion about how he wanted to put Ahsoka on a wolf and at some point and use giant wolf. So again, he's reintroducing an old storyline back into.
What was the? I don't know if you'll know this, but there was like an old PS2 game or PS3 game that had like a like watercolored wolf as like the main character. I think it was like Okami or something like that. But it was like a white wolf with like little red symbols on it.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
It's
just what came to mind when talking about it.
But yeah, to me, I don't know, Brian. What do you think? It's kind of like a spirit guide kind of thing they're trying to go for, or are you thinking maybe I'm way off base?
No, I don't think you're way off base. I think it is like kind of like a spirit animal, if you will. But I think it's more of a, it's connected to Lothal, like on a deeper gear.
Yes, but you're a little low, so I was just giving you. Sorry, not to interrupt.
That's okay. I'll get closer.
Yeah, there you go.
I think that you know, they're connected to Lothal, and they've been missing for haven't been seen 100 years, but that doesn't mean they, like you said, they haven't been there.
Right.
So they know all the stuff that goes on there, and it seems like they're force sensitive. And the fact that the damn thing speaks.
Yeah.
I mean, even if it is only one syllable words.
Right.
But
growl talks.
Yeah, but it does seem that it knows
who Ezra is,
and knows that he has the Force in him.
Right.
So there's that connection there. So I don't see it being too far off that it's like a spirit guide, if you will,
or a Force guide. Yeah. Okay. Very good. So Ezra gets himself caught up in all this, and obviously Thrawn sees him, but instead of Thrawn going capture him, he just goes interesting. So he's almost typical Thrawn style. Instead of going after him right away, he's like a sponge. He's just like he's studying Ezra's movements, how he fights with the lightsaber. You can just see him just constantly.
Yeah, it's almost a little weird though in some ways. Like after you have like his encounter, with the entire like rebellion troop they were going to have go to Lothal, and have him almost getting killed. You would just almost assume Thrawn would be a bit more gung-ho. Like, he's already studied Ezra and, Sabine and Hera, and, like, he has a general idea of them for the most part. So it's weird that he's still in that phase of it.
Yeah, and I didn't understand why he said interesting when Ezra just basically just jumped and fell. And he's like...
Kinda.
And he was like...
Maybe he wasn't expecting that. Maybe he was expecting a more graceful Jedi. I
don't know, because it just threw me. I was like, well, interesting. I'm like, he didn't do anything special there. He fell over. Like,
here's how I see it. I see Thrawn is... So the Jedi are basically extinct by this point. So there's not many of them out there. So he probably hasn't had too much of a chance to study the Jedi up close and personal, right? So, maybe that's why he's soaking it up, because he's actually seeing Ezra fight as a Jedi with the lightsaber.
Well, that could be, because he did know as soon as he saw that the TIE Defender was dismantled or whatever,
was captured.
The tractor beam was dismantled or whatever.
Yeah,
in record time
hyperdrive.
He goes the Mandalorians with them.
Right,
like he knew instantly who it was.
The transponder, yeah.
And he also said, the only reason why your pilots lasted this long is because it wasn't Hera.
Right, because Hera would have taken them out immediately.
Yeah.
And I like how he did all that, and I love how he used the opportunity, because they were going to blow up the TIE Fighter right from the get-go. Governor Price was like, no, this is a great chance for us to see what this thing can do.
Yeah.
So he's using the rebels as part of his evaluation of his new fighter.
But that is actually a good use of it. Like,
oh, yeah.
All right, well, technically this is real combat experience. Let's see where it goes.
Right, it's like, why are we wasting... Let's not waste this opportunity. Let's see what happens.
Right.
But yeah, to your point, Brian, he points out right away, he's like, that has to be Sabine. Has to be. That was Hera? No way. And Bridger took him out. All of our trained pilots with not much combat
Bridger's like an adequate pilot, but not great.
Yeah,
he's done beaten 3 of ours. So clearly we are going to kick ass with that ship.
Exactly, and he comes off that. And eventually they do use the kill switch, and then they crash land. But
Right, which I thought was neat. The kill switch is just a pop off the wings.
right,
And she got it dismantled right as the last wing was still attached.
yeah,
So, like, there's only one wing, and they're trying to bring it in.
yeah,
And I thought it was kind of interesting that it landed on that one wing.
yeah. Like he was able to keep it.
Yeah, and they were up in the air.
Yeah.
You know,
It
it's-
just uses it as a slide.
yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, a credit to his Jedi abilities, I suppose. But yeah, I thought that was pretty cool. So on to the crash and the Lothwolf, as I like to call it. So Ezra sees, I guess I should say Sabine wants to take the hyperdrive.
Yeah.
And even
She thinks
Ezra's
it's
like,
going to be useful.
and Ezra's like, how the hell are we going to carry it? Any way we can. Typical woman.
Exactly.
Once again, that
just-
kind of shows your issues with the opposite sex, man.
I'm just being funny. Anyway, so yeah, she takes they take this hyperdrive and they're having a hard time carrying it, and eventually Ezra is like, let's go that way, and they find a cave to hide it in, and she's like,
They see the loaf cat thing
right, but
going around.
Sabine's
the
like,
cave.
how the hell did you know this was here? And he's like, well, I followed the loaf cat. You followed the loaf cat?
Yeah.
Because Sabine obviously doesn't understand that he's using
She's
the
not
Force.
aware he's like the Dr. Doolittle ghost animal.
Yeah, that he is the Force Whisperer, and,
Right.
and everything. So I thought it was kind of funny. So they hide the hyperdrive and say, "Well, we'll come back for it." And they put it in that little cave, which is kind of cool, really. It shows how resourceful and smart the both of them are together, and they are a pretty good team together for the most part. Then Ezra sees the wolf again in the distance, and the Empire's hunting them down. They've got their little search shuttles. I'm not sure what they're called. They look like TIE fighters with bays on them. It's like a mix between a TIE fighter and the
clone trooper.
clone trooper transports.
Yep.
Yeah.
That's what I thought too. I was like, that's kind of weird.
Yeah, I mean, we've seen them in the past on Rebels, but that's the only way to describe them. I'm going to have to look that up, see what they're called. But yeah, so he sees that wolf again in the distance, and Sabine's like, what are you seeing? He's like, I keep seeing this Lothwolf. She's like, a Lothwolf? And that's where we find out you haven't been around for 100 years, and you're talking about the caveman drawing stuff, shit. So obviously it's a
myth.
Creature myth. Yeah, mythos.
It's like the saber-toothed tiger of that planet.
Yeah, exactly, right? It's like, what? What are you talking about? And then as soon as she's done talking, the wolf's like right there on her.
Yeah, he goes, it was a wolf. Like, and then he's right behind her.
Yeah, she looks up, and then he does his sleep. And yeah,
which was so weird.
Which was kind of cool. I mean, he's using the Force. The wolf.
I don't know. Was that a Force thing, or was that just like a breath thing?
Well, if it was a breath thing, it would have knocked Ezra out. I would think.
I don't know. It could be proximity based.
I mean, if it's
like
bad breath, okay, but I don't see
anchovies.
I don't see somebody knocked out from bad breath before.
I don't know. Is there like a Force ability that just makes people go to sleep?
Yeah, we see it in
Force sleeping.
The Force Awakens. Force Awakens. Kylo Ren uses it on Rey.
I just assumed like he made her pass out by like choking her, sort of thing.
He didn't choke her. He just did.
He
He
waited really close on Rey. He goes sleep.
Well, he doesn't say sleep, but he does kind of the same thing. He uses the Force to
it's like a
knock her
Jedi
out.
mind trick variant.
Kind of, yeah.
Do you think they can use that on themselves to take a nap?
I don't know. It's a good question. Maybe they have a side business. Force insomniacs.
I feel like they would actually make decent money in the modern age.
They probably would. I would be all for it on some nights. You will go to sleep.
Yeah, like, yes, I will.
All right. So the wolf kind of gestures and kind of picks Sabine up. And actually, he's freaked out about the wolf. He's going to grab his lightsaber, I should say, and the Loth cat kind of appears on top of the wolf to put his mind at ease.
Right,
Yeah.
and then the Loth cat moves his ears, and then the lone wolf moves his ears.
Did notice that they're in sync.
Yeah.
That they are friends, so to speak, through the Force. So it, he kind of picks Sabine up and they ride the Loth wolf.
Right, which Aaron brought up a good point. Wouldn't Sabine just fall off?
Yeah, because she's plopped on, and you would assume it would just be plop to the side.
Maybe a little bit. She's lunging forward, and then once he gets up there, he's holding on.
And then the
to
other
her.
thing is when he's climbing up there, he just throws that box and her helmet and sits it. a good
no one's really holding it.
a good distance away, and he gets on. And as he gets on, the creature gets up, but the box doesn't move or anything.
Well, he is a Jedi, and maybe he's
That's reaching, I think.
9. I don't know. I'm just BSing at this point.
Bad
animation.
Bad animation.
Okay. But so they get on, they ride the Lothwolf, and it looked like to me, even when they first get on the wolf looks tired to me. Like it's not panting, but it's kind of
Huffing
a little bit.
Because it's carrying 2 people and a box and a helmet.
I know, but
Plus
it's
the
still.
Lothcat.
And a Lothcat.
It just makes me wonder if this wolf isn't
Dying
and old, like really old.
So what if the Lothwolves are actually connected to the planet essence?
Yeah.
And because the planet's dying,
They're dying.
They're dying.
That could be. It's a good point, Brian. I like where you're going with it. I like it.
Deep.
I like it as deep. Ooh. Very Greenpeace of you, sir. Very Greenpeace of you. So again, and this is the part where it's dodging lights, and as far as I'm concerned, it's using the Force to dodge the lights because it's jumping all over the place, and literally they can't see it because it's going in between the spotlights and stuff. So
It's a very like anime-esque sort of scene, actually. Like,
Yeah, it
you
is.
go back to like Wolf Rain or something like that.
yeah, it has a very anime kind of feel to it. And, very Star Wars-esque from that point of view, I guess. It's like a Kurosawa kind of feel vibe a little bit. At least that's how I kind of took it. I don't know. But yeah, so, and again, once it's done and it brings them to safety to the rebel camp, we see it yet again. This time now it's really panting. Like it is completely out of...
I mean, it's been running for a while. And
running all night.
As agile as it has been. Like,
right. So it's definitely done. So again, it just makes me wonder, how old is this thing, and how long has it been around, and et cetera, et cetera. And then Ezra asked the wolf, he's like, well, why did you help us? And then in the wolf growl, doom is what it says.
Right, which none of us caught.
No, I actually had to turn on, I heard it, and then I had to make sure I turned on the closed caption to be sure. And sure enough, it is doom, but it is not D-O-O-M.
Not impending doom, but
No.
like a last name doom.
Yes, it is D-U-M-E. Now, if you take that name and you put it and you type in Star Wars and type in Doom, just to be sure, because I thought I was right about this, and sure enough, it brings up Caleb Doom. Now, who is Caleb Doom? For those of you who don't know, first introduced into the Star Wars Rebels book before the series came out, New Dawn, and also in the comic book, the Last Padawan, which is all about Kanan Jarrus escaping Order 66. That whole series, we find out that Kanan Jarrus was actually Caleb Doom in the when he was a Jedi. So his real name is Caleb Doom. It is not Kanan Jarrus, but it is Caleb Doom. So this brings up a ton of questions. We've always known Ezra has had a direct connection to Lothal, but does Kanan now have some sort of family history, some sort of connection to Lothal? What is it? Why does this wolf?
He's actually Ezra's uncle.
Well, yeah, Star Wars is all about family, so I could see that family twist at the end. What do you guys think? What do you think Kanan's connection to Lothal is, if at all, any? Brian?
I don't know.
No idea.
Yeah, I don't really know. Like when you brought it up earlier when we watched it before the show, before our podcast here.
Yeah.
Like we were talking, like it could be Ezra is the other character, so that's why its name is DJ, and they're trying to pull it in that way.
Right.
But I've never actually thought about Kanan's home world or
where he comes from.
Where he comes from. So it could be that the Bridgers changed their last name to Bridger.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
From Doom, maybe they were all one family.
Yeah.
Or maybe Kanan is Ezra's dad's brother or something.
Something, or a cousin.
Yeah.
Or something along those lines. Aaron, what do you think?
I'm not really sure, but my main question with that is like, if you do learn that Kanan is originally from Lothal, does it really add to the character or the story any? Like,
it could.
Like honestly, I almost feel like Ezra. I mean, it connects it, but I don't feel like it adds to it.
I think it would add to the story, and especially to Lothal, because there's that line that we have in the trailer. In fact, it was played at the beginning of this podcast. It's in the opening sequence that I make the song for the beginning of the podcast, and he goes to Ezra, he goes, "This is why we were meant to be Jedi, to be here on Lothal." So, to me, I think there's going to be a connection, and that's going to play into the greater story of how they try to save Lothal. Now, whether they're successful or not, I don't know.
What if Kanan is actually Ezra's dad?
Dun, dun, dun.
His real dad.
At the same time, I don't feel like that adds. Like, I feel like that actually detracts from, like, kind of the idea of, like, individuals coming together to form their own, like, family-like unit. Like,
but wouldn't that be the Force pulling them back together as a family?
I don't know. Like, I just feel like that detracts from it, because that kind of goes into, like, blood is blood sort of storyline.
They could totally...
It takes away from it for me, actually.
And they could totally go no family connection, rather they're just happen to both be Jedi from Lothal. You know, that's both their homeworld. Kanan just didn't know it at the time. You know, how
does Kanan not know it?
Well, because he's taken from his family when he's like 1 or 2, and then the Jedi raise him and train him.
Yeah, Force sensitive.
So he could be from Lothal, just not actually ever lived there, basically.
Right, exactly. Or he did when he was like 1, you know, kind of thing.
Yeah,
So.
I think if you go... I don't know if it's in Clone Wars where they have like a ship that's like full of Force-sensitive kids that are like abducted, but they're all like 2 to 5 or some shit.
It's in Rebels too. They do it again in Rebels. Yeah. In fact, we talked about it. I think. Yeah.
Okay.
Interesting.
So it sounds like we're definitely going to get some sort of background on Kanan. I could be completely, unless they're going somewhere I don't see. It just seems like that's it. And then, you know, the Force has always flowed very strongly on Lothal, because we kind of talked about this from that hidden Jedi temple. So there's a mystery as to why the Emperor has always been interested in Lothal. If you go all the way back to season 1, and this goes to that minister I was talking about. Her name is actually
Makith
Tua. And
something gets something in your throat.
Makith Tua. Ugh. Never take comments from a mile. It's so chewy. But yeah, Makith Tua, it was that, you know, she was always she was governing in place of Governor Price, and her big thing to have the rebels come save her is, I know what the Emperor really wants with Lothal. I know what he's after.
And we never got that answer.
But we never got the answer because she dies.
Could Doom also be a reference to a place on Lothal instead of just also being like a family name?
It's possible. It's also that is possible.
Okay.
I hadn't thought about it, but yeah, it's possible.
Okay.
No, not possible at all.
So,
what if your closed captioning is off on your TV?
It is not, because I actually went and watched Rebels Recon.
But it could be because it's still your TV pulling the same.
No. It is actually Rebels Recon on my phone, and they're the ones that put the subtitle, and he doesn't.
On your phone, it did?
Yeah, no, on my phone. Without me putting subtitles on my phone. It was actually just that one little scene they show on Rebels Recon. They don't say anything about it, but they show the wolf saying Doom, and it's D-U-M-E. So I know for a fact.
So put subtitles on your phone?
I did not.
Well, then how do you know it's the Doom?
Because they do it just for that one scene on Rebels Recon itself. So
they put subtitles on that one scene?
Yes, they did.
Oh.
So that's how you know.
I don't know.
So
it seems sketchy.
But yeah, so it'll be interesting to find out what the big secret of Lothal is too. You know, does it have kyber crystals?
I bet it is. I bet you're right, Brian. I bet it's a kyber crystal type thing.
It could be. And it would be a good tie-in for Rogue One too. You know, if it's not just Jeddah that they're stealing kyber crystals from, but Lothal.
Pretty much any planet they can.
Anywhere they can find it. Yeah, it would make sense.
And I mean, we already had the storyline of Saw Gerrera where they had the giant kyber crystal earlier on the season.
Right, so. just last week. So it would tie in pretty well. Okay, so let's talk about the obvious question that a lot of people are probably asking: is the wolf somehow related to Ahsoka? What do you guys think?
No.
Nope, not at all.
There's nothing that suggested at this point in time.
The only thing that suggested it was you.
What's that?
The only thing that suggested it was you.
Was me.
Well, you're that
from the stuff that you found out from Filoni and stuff.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the fact that he really associated the two and like the idea of them like in tangent with each other.
Right.
Well, that's what I'm saying. So like when we saw the trailer at the very beginning, and you're like, could it be because Filoni's talking about this and always liked Ahsoka with the blah blah blah? Mm-hmm. Could she come back as a wolf? That's the only time I've ever heard about them connected.
Yeah, to me it just makes sense symbolically that I don't think it's her necessarily, but I think she could be controlling it somehow, or working in tangent with.
Do you think
it.
we're going to get Ahsoka this season?
Yeah, I do. I believe that she, in what form, I'm not sure. I don't think she's going to be completely physical. I think she'll be some kind of Force ghost, maybe partially in and out of dimensional, sync, maybe of some kind. Whether that's, I don't think she's going to be full Force ghost, but I don't think she's going to be fully like,
So Force zombie, Force lich. Lich better?
Maybe that's a little bit closer.
Like, she would die, but the power of the Force is keeping her alive.
She could also be like they asked Filoni what he was thinking, and Filoni's thinking what along the lines was, he said it was like this. He was like, you remember, he threw in Lord of the Rings of all things. He says, you remember when Gandalf is fighting that creature, and he dies? He fights that big giant demon. He dies, but then he says he's sent back. He says that's the same way I'm thinking along the lines. They said that's what I'm going with Ahsoka.
So Ahsoka the White,
so to speak. So like she dies, but the Force sends her back. Kind of thing. The Force itself, because the Force itself is alive. If there's one thing we're learning through the movies and through Rebels and Clone Wars, all together, is they're trying to tell us that the Force is like whatchamacallit said, what's his name? The guy on the Liam Neeson. God, I can't think of his name. Qui-Gon Jinn. He said, you have much to learn about the living Force. He was right. That it's alive, it's flowing, and it works with people, but it also, has its own thing. So, anyway, it's alive. It has its own will, if you will. And if you go back even further to the start of Star Wars, you get the Journal of the Wills, the Will of the Force, etc. Blah blah blah. So anyway,
I'm on with the Force. The Force with me. I'm on with the Force.
The Force is with me.
It's still the best line out of that entire film.
Yeah, it's kind of a cool line. So Kanan believes that.
Is it sad we actually never got like that temple in Rebels? Like before it was like destroyed or whatever.
It would be cool to see.
Yeah, like because I feel like that'd be a cool backstory like you could throw in.
I would like to see a lot more of their backstory. I would love to know about the Guardians of the Wills. I would love to see the Wills. Everybody wants to, but nobody knows what that is.
Yeah,
it's never. We might find out late. I think if we find one of those books that Luke's looking at is the Journal of the Wills, which is funny all into itself. I don't think they end up opening it, but I think it's just a little Easter egg. So Kanan does believe Ezra about the wolf. He said all paths are coming together now. Ezra goes, well, what the hell does that mean? Kanan's like, I don't know. I have to find out.
Which is kind of funny because, like, if you don't know what that means, why did you say it?
How do you know that they're all coming together?
Like, exactly. It's just like you just throwing shit out there. It's like, no, this is all going to work out. Why do you think that? I don't know.
The only thing I can make sense out of is he feels it. He just doesn't know how it's going to play out.
Yeah.
Like he can sense it in the Force, but he doesn't.
I don't know. To me, that line put there with him not knowing, he just said it. It didn't seem like it fit. Like it was like all paths are coming together.
It's a random like
really, what does that mean?
Moment.
Well, I don't know.
We'll have to see. It's kind of like it was very Yoda-esque. It was like a Yoda thing to make him think.
I don't think Yoda's ever been like, what does that mean? Oh, I don't know. I just say shit.
You know what it kind of felt like to me was that Kanan at that point was possessed by somebody else, and he said, all paths are coming together. Like, well, what does that mean? Oh, I don't know. Did I? And it was almost like I was waiting for him to say, "Yeah, I didn't even say anything." What are you talking about?
Like he was in the Force for a moment.
Yeah,
it could be. That would be kind of cool if that was the case. Like he had like
Force threats.
Well, Force threats, but like he just
may the fuck be with you.
Nice. It's a good thing I put explicit on these things. I tell you what. All right, so it ends with Wolf kind of looking at the rebels and then fades to white, which is kind of interesting.
Well, yeah, because it doesn't. The show always fades to black.
Black, yeah.
This time it faded
to white.
White, like bright.
Last time we saw it fade to white was in Rogue One. We get the last scene of Jyn and Captain. Can't think of his name.
I don't know, dude. You're good.
It's gonna drive me nuts. I'll think of it at 3 in the morning. I'll be like, Captain Aha.
I mean, you could just like Google it like in 10 minutes.
I could.
Whatever.
Captain Aha.
Aha. No, it's Captain Suffer and Succotash, because that's what he sounds like.
Okay, Captain Suffer and Succotash. Awesome.
Anyways, but that last scene of them, right before they die, it fades to white. So again, it's kind of ominous to me when I see that. I'm like, shit. I've seen that before. Because, you know, obviously I know Hera makes it. I know that Chopper makes it.
Yeah, you don't know like Jedi's make it though.
Don't know anything about that. I have a theory about Ezra, but that's it. So yeah, I don't know. Cassian, thank you, Captain Cassian.
You're welcome.
There you go. But yeah, so I don't know. What do you guys think? Do you think it's the fading to white is just a cool way to end it, or do you think there's something to it?
I think it's just a cool way to end it.
Okay.
Oh, I think it has to do with the
Kanan, maybe.
Well, no, I think it has more. It has more like every episode of Rebels and stuff that we see in fade to black
Goes to the stars and the.
It's always like like the vastness of space or a dark part, you know. So this going to light could be the next episode is more
about the light side of the
more
force.
light side of the force. Could be.
That's a
Well,
good.
either that or it's about going back to the planet and like the actual closeness of everything. It's not about expanding outwards.
Right.
Yeah, that's kind of cool. I like that. That's very good metaphor.
I mean, what do you think if the next episode, like, did we see a trailer for it yet?
Yes,
we did see a trailer for.
There's been
episode?
a couple of them, yeah. So next episode is trying to remember the trailer.
Yeah, I don't remember
Give me a
it.
minute. Shoot.
I haven't seen it.
I haven't seen it either.
You put me on the spot and I already lost it.
But it is out?
Yeah, it is out.
Oh, I didn't see it. Because I was going to say, what if the next episode was more of a flashback for the Loth Wolves and how it's connected to...
The Loth Wolves are in the next one. I know that. Because they're in one of the trailers. There's two, like, they're like mini, you know, just like quick scenes. The rebels are surrounded and they don't, like, they can't know where to go, and all of a sudden the wolf reappears. And Ezra's, you know,
Like a ninja.
Ezra's like, we gotta go that way. He's like, why? Because I saw the white wolf.
Yeah.
And Zeb goes, it's okay when things get strange. That's when things get good usually. That's the joke. It's like a joke.
Yeah, when we get done with this podcast, I'm going to see that trailer.
Yeah, we'll watch it.
Because I haven't seen it yet.
All right, so let's just we're an hour and a half in almost. Let's just get right to final thoughts and grades. All right, Aaron, your final thought and grade for the Occupation and Flight of the Defender, because it's really one big story.
Yeah. I'd probably give it like a solid B.
Okay.
I think this is actually probably the highlight of the season so far, because the first 4 episodes kind of dragged for me.
Okay.
But I think this is kind of finding its rhythm of what it wants to do this season and kind of getting into the main storyline of where it wants to go for the season.
Okay.
And like it's adding a little bit of like mythology and kind of interesting, you know, characters to it, and I think it's kind of setting the pace and tone for what it wants to do.
Absolutely. I'll build off that. I'll give it a solid A. It's really, we're finally we're going away from the everyday rebellion, and we're getting back to Lothal. We're getting back to the grassroots. We're seeing old characters return. They're tying things up. All paths are coming together, literally, or coming full circle in some cases. I love the way they're using the Loth Wolf and the Loth Cat again. I really think they're like Force Spirit guides, and Force guides, whatever you want to call them. I like how they're reintroducing the Force back into the show. It's been missing. I thought that was what was missing big time from season 3, even other than the Twin Sons episode with Obi-Wan, which was awesome. But all that is being reintroduced in a new way. It's not just them against a Force bad guy, but rather the Force itself is saving them from the greater Empire. So it's kind of a cool twist and a new take on it, really. So yeah, I definitely give it an A. Brian, what do you think?
I'm going to go with an A as well. I really like this episode. I really like 6 more than 5.
Okay. Get the wolf in there.
Well, you got the wolf in there. You got the new TIE Defender. 5 for me felt more of a reintroducing us to Lothal and what's changed. But it wasn't really any kind of major action except for them being chased and running away.
Right.
6 for me felt more like the stuff that I like to watch. We got a new ship. I'm always big on the episodes with new ships.
New ships. Yeah.
I think for me that was the biggest part of this episode. The other part was we actually got to see Ezra use his lightsaber a pretty decent amount, battling the stormtroopers on the deck, you know, bouncing around and
right. action.
Yeah, so I enjoyed the action of episode 6 way better than 5. Way better than the rest of the season, like Aaron said. This, for me, 6 has probably been the best one so far. Yeah, can't wait for the rest of them.
Absolutely. All right, real quick before we go, where can you find 4 Midwest Guys? If you like this podcast, you can go to the number 4 MidwestGuys.com. Again, that is to type the number 4, then type in MidwestGuys.com. Altogether, again, that's the number 4 MidwestGuys.com. There you can find links to our Facebook, to our Twitter, to our iTunes, to our Podbean.
To our iPods?
To our iPods, yes, which you can use on iTunes. Also, Podbean. You can like, follow, subscribe there. Also, on the website itself, it's every podcast in chronological order. Or you can, if you just like this show, you can click Star Wars Rebels and get every Star Wars Rebels. If you like our other podcasts, like our Game of Thrones podcast, like the Night's Watch, you click the Night's Watch. If you like Marvel DC Kings, you click Marvel DC Kings. It's all categorized, all broken down for you at the top. Whatever you like, it's your one-stop shop, the number 4, MidwestGuys.com. Well, Brian, thanks for joining us.
Hey, thanks for having me, man.
Absolutely. And Aaron, thanks for joining us.
Yeah, no problem.
And this is B. Willie saying, may the Force be with you always.